In this video, a criminal thought he could execute the perfect crime using only online guides. Early in January 2019, people living in the quiet tourist neighborhood of Costa on Lanzarote, Canary Islands, Spain, noticed a strange cloud of smoke coming from the backyard of a private home. The fire was going strong for 3 days in a row, and the smell of smoke could be smelt in the streets nearby. It made people feel uncomfortable. In the island's winters, there isn't much wind, so that fire didn't seem to belong there. The fire department got there in the evening of January 3rd. The owner, Raul Díaz, an engineer who is 40 years old, met them calmly. He told them he was setting old books and papers on fire. First rescuers checked out the garden and decided the fire didn't pose any danger, so they left. At that very moment, no one knew that this flame would lead to the most famous crime in Lanzarote's history. I want to draw your attention to one important point. It was too late to just clean up after the fire. Afterwards, some neighbors said the fires would start up again every night. What was that yard on fire with? Nobody understood. Even so, there was still no reason to doubt what Raul said. But soon, it would be clear that the ash wasn't hiding trash, but clues to something that would shock Spain and make people question how well justice was working. Before we get into the full story, take a moment to smash that like button and subscribe for more gripping true crime cases that uncover the darkest secrets behind cold cases. These stories reveal shocking twists, hidden details, and mysteries that have baffled investigators for years. Make sure the notification bell is on so you never miss any updates or shocking developments, and stay one step ahead as the truth unfolds. I'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which country you're watching from. It's incredible how far these stories travel and how many people across the world are fascinated by uncovering the truth. Your support helps keep these stories alive, honors the victims, and reminds us why these cases must never be forgotten. Every like, share, and comment makes a difference, keeping the memory of these cases alive. Now let's get started. Romina Celeste Núñez's story started a long way from the Canaries. She was born in Paraguay, but went to Spain when she was young to find a better life. She wanted to have her own home and have a family while working as a maid. In 2016, she met Raul Díaz Chacon, an engineer from Lanzarote who seemed sure of himself and wealthy, and promised to be there for her and help her. Things looked good at first. Romina moved in with Raul in Costa, and the two started making plans to have a child. But not long after that, signs of control began to show. Feelings of envy, being unable to do something, and sudden fits of anger. Raul drank a lot of drinks and then used drugs that were illegal. Both of them became dependent on the friendship, though their addictions were different. His was drugs and power, and hers was the hope that she could make things better. Pay close attention to this part. At that very moment, the groundwork for cruelty is made. It doesn't start with physical violence. Instead, it starts with submission, which turns into the standard over time. Romina hid the first signs that she was getting angry. Bruises, she said, were caused by falls. She never asked for help. Medical records showed that she was hurt, but no public reports of cruelty were ever made. The police didn't find out about the situation until after she was gone. People who lived nearby remembered hearing screams coming from the house, and the few times Romina tried to leave, but she always came back. She didn't have any family in Spain, so she relied on her partner for money. Someone who is an immigrant but doesn't have any help or standing is especially at risk. In the dark places where these things can stay hidden, I hope this story told with care and respect helps put light on them. That brings up a very important question. How can a system miss all the signs that something is wrong, like doctor reports, neighbors, or even random witnesses? Everyone could see what was going on, but no one said anything. This gap between what someone knows and what they do often determines their fate. Even though Raul and Romina got married in 2018, their relationship was already full of fights. Their lives became a loop of outbursts, makeups, fear, and quiet. In the end, that silence was very important to what happened. By early 2019, Romina's links to her family and friends had suddenly stopped. Her boys usually called her at least once a week, but she stopped calling them, replied to messages, and went away from social media. This was a big red flag for her family back in Paraguay. Her sister and mother called her Spanish number, but there was no answer. 2 or 3 days went by before Raul finally picked up the phone. He didn't sound at all worried. He casually told her that Romina had gone for a walk and would be back soon. His tone was not at all round. There is no worry, no need, and no desire to explain anything further. The family started asking friends for help in Spanish online groups when they still couldn't get in touch with her. Romina hadn't said anything in over a week. Just after that, Raul called the police in the area. He told them that his wife had been lost for a few weeks. He also said that this wasn't the first time. He said she often left the house after a fight and came back a few days later. His answer sounded like it had been practiced, like a story that had been planned ahead of time. The timeline is what stands out. It had been about 7 days since Romina went missing before Raul called the police. That wait is hard to understand as anything other than boredom, or even worse, the thought that there was no point in looking for her. That was the first big red flag for the police. The Lanzarote police started a real probe. Detectives saw problems with the story from the very first questioning. Raul changed his story over and over. He said he saw Romina in the morning at first, then in the evening. He gave several different times and dates for when she was said to have left the house. Friends said she wasn't wearing the clothes he said she was wearing when they last saw her. Raul said he didn't want to make a fuss when asked why he didn't report her missing right away. The first searches did not turn up anything. There was no video security, and no one who saw Romina leave the house to confirm it. The phone was turned off. There was no movement in her bank accounts. Because of all of this, the cops began to think that her disappearance might not have been her choice, but was caused by something much worse. Investigators looked at her phone records and saw that there had been no calls coming in or going out since December 31st, 2018. At the same time, Raul's phone usage went through the roof. He called short numbers he didn't know and used mobile data late at night. All of this happened at the same time that his neighbors said they saw fire in his garden. This is where the study changed from just watching to actually spying on someone. Police got a warrant to wiretap Raul's phone even though they didn't have any solid proof yet. The goal was easy: find contradictions or possible statements that were made by accident. That plan worked right away and quickly paid off. Within a few days of listening in on his calls, investigators heard talks that made it sound like Raul was trying to make himself look good by telling his family that everything happened by accident. That's where the search really began. It didn't matter what was found at the scene. What was heard did. Romina's family kept calling her phone, still hoping she would answer. At the same time, the cops were getting close to a painful truth. It was too late to look for a live woman. Investigators caught Raul Díaz on the phone with a family member after weeks of keeping an eye on him. During the call, he casually admitted that he had thrown away his wife's body. It was scary how calm and matter-of-fact his voice was, like he was talking about something normal and not a major crime. That phone call changed everything in the case. Raul said he destroyed some of the bodies on the backyard grill and then threw the bags into the ocean. This wasn't just a statement for the police. It showed that they were acting logically and without feeling anything. The police searched the place thoroughly right away. They found blood on the walls and floor of the house. Even though the surfaces had been cleaned, there was still dirt in the tiles cracks. Later forensic tests proved that it was Romina's blood. They found a set of yard shears in the bedroom. Romina's DNA was found on the blades. Let's take a moment to think about this. Every one of these facts points to a planned and deliberate course of action, not a fit of rage. Raul's steps were planned out and not haphazard. After that, the research went in a clear direction. The police put together a timeline of the suspect's purchases, moves, and phone calls to piece together what happened that night. His story about a terrible accident began to fall apart. With each new discovery, more purpose became clear. It makes me think of a tough question. How does a man who has never been convicted of a crime and is well-liked in his community become able to do something so planned? The answer might not lie in a single moment, but in years of anger that was kept inside. Then, a few days after Raul's recorded confession, nature added a piece to the case that no one saw coming. Along the beach near Del Carmen in the Costa area early one morning, a local man saw something strange in the water. It looked like a thick piece of living flesh. The first thing he thought it was a piece of a dead sea creature, maybe a dolphin, which gets stuck on the ground after storms. He told the duty lifeguard about it, but the guard ignored it and threw the item into a trash can nearby. Not until a few days later, when Romina Celeste Nunez's abduction was covered by the news, did the man realize that what he had found might have something to do with the case. He called the cops and told them exactly where it was. He also said that the tissue felt very tough and had a color that didn't seem right. The investigators worked quickly. They looked around the area and found the exact piece in the trash can. The sample was sent to the Institute of Legal Medicine in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, which has a forensic lab. Forensic experts said the tissue didn't look like anything from a sea animal when they first looked at it. It turned out to be a human lung after more testing. Everything changed when this one finding was made. The only things the police had up to that point were Raul's recorded statement and blood found in the house. They now had proof that the person had died. It was the first piece of Romina's body that was proven to have been found outside of the house. I think this is the moment when there was no more doubt. The investigation now had proof that couldn't be argued with. Romina wasn't living anymore. Her body parts had been thrown into the sea on purpose to kill her. Before this, there was a very small chance that she was still living somewhere. But that wasn't possible after the bodies of people were found. The lab did a DNA test on the sample and compared it to biological signs that were already at Raul's house. The match was a clear winner. The genetic profile matched the DNA from Romina's family in Paraguay, which was also confirmed by experts. Still, some facts make me wonder, how did a piece of her body make it through the destruction and wash up on land weeks later? It's possible that Raul wasn't able to destroy everything, and what was left out in the water was taken to the beach by the current. There was no more room for doubt after the lab findings came back. Romina's disappearance was no longer just a case of a lost person. It was now officially being looked into as a crime. Not only did the police have a statement and physical evidence from the house, but they also had direct biological evidence linking the crime to a specific place, the coast, where Raul admitted dumping the body. It was like the ocean had left a mark that could no longer be covered, like a silent witness. From that point on, there was enough proof to bring more charges against Raul Díaz and start the official prosecution. There would be more questions, reviews by experts, and a court process that would show how slow the system can be, even after the truth has been found. In his first talks, Raul Díaz Chacon denied that he killed his wife. He said that the morning of January 1st, 2019, he found her unconscious, allegedly from taking too much of the drug. He said that he was scared and didn't know what to do, so he decided to get rid of the body to hide the fact that there were illegal drugs in the house. At first, detectives thought about this version, but the forensic reports quickly took it apart. Romina's body had many wounds from blunt force damage that didn't look like they were caused by an accident. Blood was discovered in several rooms of the house. The patterns of the blood splatters showed that there had been a fight. Raul afterward admitted that he had cut up the body and tried to hide the evidence, but he still said she had died by accident. Investigators checked his schedule against records of his phone calls and where he was at the time. It was easy to see the differences. The timestamps and the behavior didn't fit what he said. I think this is when the study went from being unclear to being clear. The facts didn't need to be interpreted anymore. It was clear. The detectives found that Romina had been physically abused before she died. The types of bruises showed that the fights had been going on for a while. Medical records showed that Romina had been to the doctor several times in the year before she died for different injuries. That being said, she never made an official complaint. Let's get this straight. The story about the accident didn't just fall apart. In reality, it was an attempt to hide intent behind a false feeling of worry. That was a turning point for the detectives. No longer was the act a secret. It was named and looked like a person. Once it was clear that Romina was dead, Raul Díaz Chacon was arrested. As of January 2019, he was in jail. After that, a very long and drawn-out legal process started. Right away, prosecutors asked that he be jailed, both because the charges were so serious and because he might try to escape. Raul kept saying he didn't mean to hurt anyone, but he did say he hid the body in the hopes that some agreement would help him. He was held before his hearing for almost 4 years. During that time, his lawyers did everything they could to slow down the case. They switched lawyers and asked for new expert reports and procedure reviews over and over again. All of this led to months of delays in the legal system and pushed back court dates. The investigation was held up for a long time because of a pair of garden shears that were found during the first check. A forensic study was ordered to find out if the tool could have hurt someone in a way that fit with the crime. For reasons that are still not clear, the report was finished within a month, but it was kept at the Institute of Forensic Medicine in Las Palmas for more than 2 years. This stuck paper was a big part of why the case stayed indefinitely. This showed me a big problem with the system: how bureaucratic red tape can stop justice in its tracks even when strong evidence is already in front of the court. On paper, the case didn't seem to be going anywhere. Raul was being held in pre-trial detention, which is illegal in Spain if there hasn't been an official verdict in 4 years. The court could no longer legally hold Raul in jail after that date passed. In January 2023, he was let out on parole with strict rules. Besides going to court once a week, he had to stay in the country and let the court know where he lived. The people responded right away. People in Spain, the media, and human rights groups were all very angry. A lot of people said it was an insult to the victim's history. For them, the fact that an accused criminal could go free before being judged was a sign of everything that was wrong with the justice system. The delays were not the fault of anyone. The court said the forensic experts were to blame. Experts said that delays in the process were to blame. The prosecution said there weren't enough workers. No one took blame in the end, and the person who was accused was let go. People were both angry and scared about the choice. Would Raul disappear like other well-known suspects have done in the past? The court reacted by keeping an eye on things. Even though Romina's family wanted daily check-ins, the judge stuck to the original plan. Once more, the justice system failed when people expected it to do so, most quickly and clearly, because of too much red tape. People lost a lot of faith in the court system, even though Raul Díaz's case was still open. For the first time in 4 years, the long-awaited trial started in January 2023 at the City of Justice in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. It looked like Raul Díaz Chacon wasn't worried about anything as he sat in jail, as if a mistake were the most important thing. No one thought that what would happen on the first day of testimony would happen. The court was shocked when Raul said he wanted to tell the truth. What came next shocked everyone. He stated that on the night of January 1st, 2019, he beat his wife so badly that she passed out, then suffocated her, and then cut up her body. He told them he burned some of it on the grill in their backyard and threw the rest into the ocean near the coast of Costa. He said he had followed a plan he found online, which was a step-by-step guide on how to get rid of a body without leaving any evidence. That was the most troubling part. There was no fear. This was planned ahead of time. It's hard to say what made him say it at that very moment. He may have hoped for a lighter penalty. Maybe he was feeling the stress of being watched by a lot of people. One thing was clear, though. It was no longer possible to stay quiet. Prosecutors said that his story fit with the blood patterns and lung tissue that had been found, as well as witness statements. The confession didn't add anything new to the case, but it did prove what the investigation had already found. This crime was done on purpose. Amelia Sabos, a lawyer, fought for Romina's family. She made it clear that the court should not see the statement as a moment of regret. She said that Raul wasn't talking out of guilt. He was doing the maths to try to get his term shortened. One of the most important parts of the trial was what she said. And now for the real question. Can a confession you make after you've been jailed be taken seriously? That's what the court needs to decide now. This story started with a strange backyard fire and a missing person who was never seen again. In January 2023, it finally hit its legal peak. With 4 years of lying and denying, the criminal finally said what they meant to say. This ended the case, but it didn't bring justice full circle. The court gave its ruling after years of forensic work and a confession that made the news. The jail term for Raul Díaz Chacon is 15 years and 9 months. The prosecution had asked for more, but the court took into account his admissions and the $300,000 he paid to Romina's family as a settlement. Under the law, these 2 points were enough to get the term diminished. In the written opinion of the judge, the court agreed that Raul and Romina's relationship had been one of control and submission. Romina was mentally, financially, and socially dependent on him. The court said Raul's actions were perfect examples of a domestic bully who used power to make his partner feel bad. Some lawyers said the sentence was a middle ground between justice and process. On paper, Raul accepted guilt and paid the money he owed, but many people thought the sentence wasn't harsh enough for the crime. People all over Spain saw the decision as another example of how the justice system is not harsh enough on crimes against women. In terms of the law, the court did everything that was asked of them. But it makes me think of a different question. Can a payout really show regret? There is no such thing as regret in the law. It is a person. No one in Romina's family felt better after hearing the decision. In public, her mother, who still lives in Paraguay, said she hasn't forgiven Raul and never will. Her grandchildren are growing up without their mom. A few pictures and a court file are all that's left of them. Afterward, family lawyer Emilia Sebos talked to the press. In a formal sense, the case may be over, but not in a moral one, she said. He explained how he did it, but not why. There is still a sense of injustice until we get that answer. It made that feeling of not being whole even stronger that parts of Romina's body were never found. The sea never returned the rest, even after years of searching. That became a scary sign for the family that the story wasn't really over. Others who worked on the case later said that they still felt empty after hearing the decision. Even though the court wrote the last line, the story didn't feel like it was over. Right now, Raul Díaz Chacon is doing time in a jail in Spain. He will always be linked to a case that showed that justice does move slowly but surely. It did, however, teach us that justice doesn't always come at the right time, and sometimes it is too late to bring real peace. After being given a sentence, Raul Díaz Chacon was sent to a prison in Spain. He is alone in the jail where he lives. He stays away from other prisoners and doesn't take part in group activities. Reports in the Spanish press say that he is being watched by a psychologist after a series of unstable and violent events. The people who work in the prison say that he is quiet, distant, and mentally distant. He doesn't seem to feel bad about what he did and isn't interested in anything going on outside of jail. Also, it has been proven that his daughters from a past marriage have not visited him since he was arrested. The important thing to note is that Raul isn't just alone. His feelings and morals are also cut off. People who used to be close to him have moved on. It's like how he acted when he was with Romina. It looks strong on the outside, but is empty on the inside. His defense team decided not to file an appeal and just said that a tough process was over. That meant something else to Romina's family. Even though the case is over in court, the mental wound is still there. Raul is in jail doing his time, but Romina's body parts have still not been found in their entirety. That's the terrible irony. Like the life of the woman he killed, justice feels like it's not complete. The ashes, which were once the most important piece of evidence, are all that's left to remind us that she was here. Thank you for being here and taking the time to watch. The world is full of unexpected turns, and staying mindful, alert, and aware is more important than ever. If you want to keep up with content that informs, inspires, and sharpens your perspective, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Your support allows this channel to continue growing and reaching more people. I'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, experiences, or anything you've noticed today. Every comment is read and valued, and your engagement helps build a strong, connected community. And if you think someone else could benefit from this, don't forget to share this video. Awareness spreads when it's shared. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and take care of yourself and those around you. Life can change in a moment, and awareness is one of the most powerful tools we have. Thank you again for watching, supporting the channel, and being part of this journey. Stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next video.